Section 1. Introduction. What is job development? Job development involves more than simply placing people in jobs. While job placement focuses on finding available positions in the community and helping job seekers apply for them, this often puts people in direct competition with others who are also looking for work. Job development, on the other hand, takes a more personalized approach. It involves identifying the unique skills and talents of each job seeker and working with employers to shape roles that match these strengths, often through discussions and negotiation. In simple terms, job development is all about building and nurturing relationships with businesses and organizations in ways that create meaningful and inclusive job opportunities. It's a collaborative effort that aims to connect job seekers, particularly those with disabilities, with roles that truly suit them and provide long-term success.
A lot of people use the terms job development and job placement interchangeably, but to me there's an ocean of difference between them. I remember the first time I heard the term job development and I was pretty much enchanted, thinking, well, that's where you would look to find the unique brand of genius, the skill and ability of each person, and then you would go out and you would carve and shape and develop employment for the person. But I was so surprised early in the job as I was watching my colleagues approach it in a very different manner. They were opening up the newspaper. They were looking in the want ads. They were calling personnel managers and HR people at companies asking, so what kind of opportunities do you have? We are working with people who'd love an opportunity to do what you do. And I remember thinking, well, we're not really developing anything. We're looking at the opportunities that already exist in this community, and we're now taking people, many of whom have multiple barriers to employment, and we're simply putting them in direct competition with everyone else in the same community who are knocking on the same doors and applying for the same work, many of them bringing equal, often better qualifications, but who didn't necessarily bring the mix of barriers. And what I was told is, Denise, your job is to help these people get the competitive edge from everyone else. I would like to share with you one of the pillars of my work as a job developer, and it comes from the great Martin Luther King Jr., who once suggested that our questions in life are everything. That the questions we ask on a daily basis will shape our destiny as clearly as the skeleton shapes the body. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. There's so much to see and perceive in the world. It's the questions that we're asking that serve like the lens on the camera of the mind. They tell us what to shoot for, what to focus on. And what I was taught early on as a job developer is to ask this question. So what's the world looking for out there, and how do we somehow make these people look like that? What's the labor market demand? What are employers telling us they need? And how do we take these people coming into our office and somehow place them in those positions? That to me is not job development. That's called job placement. And it's not that job placement doesn't have a place, but let's call it by its real name. Early on, I had a feeling that there was another way to go about it, that perhaps there was a way to approach this endeavor being true to the term job development, rather than asking, so what are the opportunities that exist, and can these people fit into the position? What if we started on the other side of the equation and said, what is the skill, what is the ability of each person, and who's not hiring people to do that, who should? Perhaps we could develop, shape, and create opportunity based on the real needs and abilities of interest of the person that also make sense to the employer. That to me is the art of doing real job development. Another distinction that I would make between job development and job placement is how we treat job market information. I think a lot of people treat it like a wall rather than a window. So if you get a job order or you're talking to an employer and they express what they say they need, the qualifications that they're looking for, if people don't have individuals who fit that description, the feeling is, oh my God, I've hit a wall. Like there's nothing here this person can do. There's no way they're going to consider this person. And it's not that we would ignore the real needs of employers and what, the qualifications that they've specified, but it's just that you don't limit yourself there. Because I think there are a lot of opportunities within any place of business that the employers themselves perhaps have not yet perceived, and that there's a way of inquiring further as to how to shape or change or make something else out of a position given the abilities of a person. So I think we have to not act as order takers, but really as vocational consultants, totally respecting what the employer is asking for, but bringing the conversation further.
Highlights: job development. Job development involves carving, shaping, and developing opportunities. It is focused on the interests, skill, and ability of each person. It says, what is the skill of this person? And who is not hiring people with this skill? What should? It uses job market information as an opportunity to inquire further. Highlights: job placement. Job placement involves looking for existing openings for employment. The concern is that people with disabilities are in direct competition with others who do not have the same barriers. It says, what are the opportunities that exist, and can we make people with disabilities fit? Job placement. Job placement focuses on matching job seekers to existing roles, which means looking for positions that are already out there. This approach involves helping people compete with other applicants for jobs that may or may not suit their individual strengths. Job placement essentially asks, what opportunities already exist, and operates on the idea of how well a person can fit into predefined roles. In this sense, the job placement process can feel somewhat transactional, with the role of the employment professional resembling an order taker, filling positions based on current demand. Job development. In contrast, job development emphasizes the unique skills and capabilities of each person. Rather than waiting for a job to appear, job development is about actively seeking ways to create opportunities that might not yet exist. This approach relies on understanding labor market trends and asking questions that help uncover possibilities that go beyond traditional roles. Here, the employment professional functions more like a consultant, focusing on the bigger picture to find or craft roles that not only suit the job seeker, but also add value to the employer. Customized employment. Customized employment focuses on helping people find meaningful work that matches their skills and interests, rather than just filling open job positions. It starts with a unique assessment to create a positive personal profile, which highlights the job seeker's skills, strengths, and goals. This profile guides the job search, assuming that the person is already job-ready and capable of contributing. Instead of fitting a person into a pre-existing role, customized employment reshapes roles to match the person's strengths. This may mean negotiating, adapting, or even reassigning tasks within a job to make the position a better fit for the job seeker. Customized employment also considers the needs of the employer, aiming to create value for the business by showcasing the job seeker's skills. Sometimes this process even leads to new roles tailored specifically for the job seeker, benefiting both the employer and the employee and creating a lasting, positive relationship. How to identify potential job opportunities. In any hiring decision, there's a simple rule that almost every employer follows. They hire people when they believe that person will bring in more profit than it will cost to employ them. Positive Personal Profile. The Positive Personal Profile, or PPP, is a tool designed to help job seekers by focusing on their strengths and talents, rather than any perceived limitations. This approach moves away from highlighting what someone can't do and instead emphasizes what they can bring to a job. It's not about asking whether a person is capable of working. Rather, it's about finding the right place where their unique skills and interests will shine. The PPP centers on the job seeker's preferences and existing skills. It's about identifying what they already enjoy and excel at so that we can find opportunities that align with those strengths. This profile becomes a powerful resource for targeting specific businesses where these unique abilities will be seen as assets rather than obstacles. There are several practical ways to use the Positive Personal Profile. First, it can guide the creation of resumes, whether standard text-based ones or more visual formats that might better showcase certain talents. It also provides a solid foundation for preparing for job interviews, helping the job seeker feel confident in presenting their strengths. Beyond that, the PPP can be used to set meaningful career goals, such as identifying areas where the job seeker might want more experience or additional skill building. Features to benefits. One particularly useful application of the PPP is in building a features to benefits list. This list helps translate a job seeker's strengths into specific benefits that would be attractive to potential employers. For example, someone who has a high level of focus might be seen as obsessive in some contexts, but with the right framing, that same trait could be presented as dedication to detail. To make the most of this approach, it's helpful to start thinking of any deficits as hidden strengths that could be valuable in the right environment. For instance, a short attention span could be reimagined as having many interests and an ability to stay adaptable and curious. A person who seems hyperactive might be more accurately described as energetic and enthusiastic. Being obsessive can be reframed as having a high level of focus, while a distractible nature could indicate a sharp perceptiveness to changes in details. Once we've identified these unique traits as assets, the next step is to connect them to specific benefits for employers. Using the Features to Benefits chart, list a job seeker's stand-up qualities, often drawing directly from the Positive Personal Profile, and then brainstorm how each trait could be beneficial to a particular business. This helps make the connection between what the job seeker offers and what the employer needs. For example, let's say a job seeker is particularly detail-oriented. In a retail environment, this trait could be a huge advantage. A detail-oriented person is likely to keep the store neat and organized, ensuring that clothes are always folded, hung, and displayed attractively. This attention to detail creates a pleasant shopping experience for customers, which can lead to higher sales and repeat visits. By focusing on strengths and reframing potential challenges as assets, the Positive Personal Profile helps job seekers showcase what they can offer in a way that speaks directly to what employers value most. This approach not only boosts confidence, but also opens new possibilities for finding a fulfilling and suitable job match. The following questions are for your review. They will not be graded. Section 2. Connecting with businesses and creating opportunities. When it comes to employment, one core idea holds true. It's all about adding value. However, the way job development has been approached in the past doesn't always focus on this principle. In the old approach to job development, There was a tendency to sell disability as the main reason for hiring. This often looked like campaigns urging businesses to hire the handicapped or give them a chance. Employers were encouraged to hire based on quotas or tax incentives, rather than truly connecting candidates with jobs that suited them. This approach often meant looking for positions that were considered the easiest or most accessible, which were frequently high turnover, low-paying roles that may not have matched the job seeker's skills or interests. Another part of the old way of thinking involved a method sometimes called carpet bombing or job stuffing. This approach involves visiting as many businesses as possible, regardless of whether those businesses are a good fit, and then trying to place job seekers into any available role. This style of job development doesn't consider the unique interests or abilities of the job seeker and ignores the needs of the business. It's a one-sided approach where the emphasis is on social services instead of creating meaningful employment opportunities. An outdated practice called job carving further demonstrates this issue. Job carving involves defining positions based on tasks a person can't do and then creating a role around that. In contrast, job creation focuses on developing positions that are based on both employer needs and the job seeker's strengths, aiming for a role where both parties benefit. It's important to remember that hiring is a business decision, not a charitable act. Employment works best when it's mutually beneficial, a relationship where both the employee and the employer feel they're getting value. For businesses, this means finding motivated employees who are excited about their work, people who bring skills that can enhance the workplace, and candidates who can contribute to the company's productivity, quality, or workflow. To build these beneficial relationships, it helps to approach job development with fresh strategies. One such strategy is using informational interviews, which allow job seekers to get a foot in the door without the pressure of a formal job interview. These informal conversations offer a chance to make a strong first impression, potentially starting a relationship that could lead to future opportunities. An informational interview can be the beginning of a partnership between the job seeker and the business, helping to uncover areas where the company might benefit from the job seeker's skills. Another helpful tool in connecting with businesses is the elevator speech. This is a brief, clear way to communicate the strengths of a candidate without relying on social service terminology or jargon. The language we use matters. For instance, rather than referring to job seekers as clients, we can use candidates, which has a more professional tone. Similarly, instead of framing tasks as easy or repetitive, we can describe them as systematic, routine, or entry-level, which positions the work in a more positive light. This shift in language helps present job seekers as potential assets to the business rather than beneficiaries of a service. Additionally, phrases like recruit and screen candidates sound more like traditional hiring processes than job development. Likewise, orientation and training are terms that businesses recognize as part of their operations, whereas job coaching might feel more service-oriented. Finally, when discussing modifications that a candidate might need, using the term tools rather than accommodations can help employers view these adjustments as standard resources, rather than special allowances. By focusing on these new approaches and being mindful of language, we can help shift the perception of hiring from a social responsibility to a smart business decision, one where both the employer and the employee stand to benefit. This way, we're not just filling positions, we're creating opportunities for meaningful and impactful employment. The following questions are for your review. They will not be graded.